Hey guys, welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be reviewing Wish World. Now talking about my initial thoughts on it, I did enjoy the episode but in quite a reserved way. I really liked how it was Ruby orientated. It was a lot more Ruby orientated than I suspected, and I love to see the different side of Belinda and the Doctor, and seeing this version of Belinda and the Doctor in this sort of wished world, which was really cool. However, I'm not too keen on the reveal at the end, and I'm not too keen on the direction that Rani's been taken in, which I'll be going into a little bit later. But upon initial watch, I did really enjoy it, but there was a few problems. I did enjoy the opening scene and its setting as well. I do wonder why the God of Wishes was born there and then, but however I did enjoy the opening scene, and I did like the Rani in the scene as well, and I loved how she said it was an awful name because that was very Rani-like. And I also loved how all her wishes were coming true and how she blew the wish and then we went straight on to the Doctor and Belinda. That was really cool. I also really enjoyed the Doctor and Belinda together as a couple with Poppy and as a whole family. I thought that was just really sweet and they actually suited quite well in this version, so that was really cool to see. And I really liked how they wished Conrad a happy morning and that sort of being the end of the cold opening, because it just felt so mad and out there like a wild dream, which is exactly what they're sort of going for, so I really did enjoy that. And I also liked how Conrad actually interrupted the TARDIS sequence as well. That was really cool. And the story he was telling, breaking the fourth wall, telling the story of Doctor Who and the Deadly Wish and calling him Doctor Who as well, all of that was really cool. It really reminded me of a sort of mixture of like Lux breaking the fourth wall and Silence in the Library as well. Great to see Ruby again, and it was amazing to see her actually see the Doctor for the first time since she departed the TARDIS. You could really tell in her face and her reaction this is the first time she's seen the Doctor since then, so she did really well with that. And I really like what they've done with her, the costume, the hair. It really suits her really well, and it really does look like she has grown up and changed since the first series, so they've done really well with that, and I really did enjoy all of that. I must admit as well, I didn't like how John Smith, in a good way, I didn't like how John Smith pulled away from Ruby. I thought that was quite rude, but that was very sort of like John Smith of the character in this episode. But again, I don't like how I pulled away from Ruby, but I did like how the name Ruby sort of did remind him of something, so that was really cool. Even with him telling Mel not to speak to her, really rude, but again, really of the character, which is great. It's also great to see Ruby not subject to the wish. It also does link into 73 Yards, as she explained to Radio Times, and as it's sort of mentioned in the episode itself, she has lived through this year before, she's lived her whole life before, and this is not how the world was. So I really like how it gives sort of more context and more of a reason for 73 Yards to actually exist and be, so that was really great to actually see that linked back to 73 Yards again. I thought the Bone Palace and the Bone Creatures were a nice addition to the episode, and I felt the Bone Palace really did feel like looking in the sky, like one of those alien spaceships from those big budget movies, so that was brilliant to see. And it was great to see Unit slightly different as well, more of like an old fashioned way, and not actually be Unit as well, although I must say I really dislike this Kate, so I'm glad it's not the Kate we have. But great to see even in this world that Colonel Ibrahim and Kate still want to be together, which is really nice. And talking about Colonel Ibrahim, that scene where the Doctor accidentally says something he shouldn't, I thought was done so well. You could really feel the tension in that scene and how bad it was. So again, they both portrayed that really well, and I really did enjoy that. Talking a bit about Belinda now, it was great to finally see her family, although this was the version of them in Wish World, but still really nice to finally see the family and put a face to a name really, because she spoke so much and so highly of her family. So it's great seeing. I'd love to see them actually meet the Doctor as well, probably in the next episode, hopefully. So yeah, it was really great to see, and also I really loved what music they were playing when Belinda couldn't remember Poppy's birth. I thought the music in the background was really cool, and when Belinda actually ran into the woods and was screaming, it felt so real. And I just really loved how that was done, because it's a different side to Belinda we've never really actually seen before. So I really enjoyed how they done that and how real the screams actually felt. It was sort of horrible, but in such a good way. The classiforms was such a great addition to the episode. There was a lot of things I liked about them. I liked the voices and how they were saying the numbers as well. I really loved their eyes. It felt very steampunky, and how their fingers sort of melted and dipped into the tables as well was such a cool addition to the creatures themselves. So I really did enjoy seeing them, and they were a great addition. Even the skin, the sort of like marbly, ripply sort of effect. I don't know how to describe that, but again, that was really cool, and I really did enjoy that. Also great to see the drone guards as well. I did sort of predict that they would be from from the trailer that we were shown a few months ago. So it's great to see them reuse the design, because I feel like they were slightly underused in the Interstellar Song Contest. However, I would have liked just maybe like a throwaway line to explain why they're actually in this episode, when there isn't too much of a link between the Interstellar Song Contest and this time, the Wish World. A throwaway line would have been good. The Rani could have actually said it to the Doctor to sort of jog his memory of him being the Doctor. So really they could have added that in, but I would have liked an explanation other than probably budget. Seeing Mrs. Flood get annoyed at her other half was really funny and great to see at the same time. I would really love to see her overthrow her other side, because it does sort of feel like she's getting slightly annoyed at her other half. So that would be really, really cool to actually see that, although I don't think that would probably be done. And it was great to see Conrad sort of be overworked and sort of underappreciated, because you do sort of, again, you can't help but feel sorry for him, because he does seem really nice. But of course, as we know from Lucky Day, he's actually a really nasty, horrible person. So you almost feel sorry for him, but then you remember what he's like and then you don't. So again, that's really done really well as well. And I also love how the giggle of the baby felt very terrifying. The way that they said how terrifying he was. Even though it's just a baby, you do sort of feel that sort of danger from it. So I really like how that was done as well. So all of those scenes I did enjoy. It's nice to see the Rani has her own sonic screwdriver, and I'd love to see this in merchandise as well, because it is quite a cool design, and I do like the purple at the top, and how it's sort of ergonomic as well. It's quite a cool thing, so I do enjoy that. And again, I really enjoyed the scenes between Mrs. Flood, or Rani Part 1 and Rani Part 2, where she describes her as her daughter and her sort of mother, and how disgusted she was at that. Again, that was the preview we were shown, but I did really enjoy that. As well as seeing Shirley and Ruby recognise each other, that was great, and to see that camp as well, a really nice sort of addition to the episode. And I also loved how Ruby is still sort of managing without the Doctor. There's been so many instances where she's without the Doctor. Lucky Day, 73 yards, but she still manages and sort of tries to make the best out of the situation and still try and get to do what the Doctor would do and try and sort it all out and sort of save the day. So again, really nice to see that as well. And this episode contained a lot of flashbacks, which I really did enjoy all of them. Probably my most favourite was the 73 yards flashback, because that was really cool. And to see the sort of flashbacks of Kate O'Mara as well was brilliant, to see the original Rani. I loved all of them. And it's sort of debated whether Dimensions in Time is sort of canon or not, but it was actually great to see it actually shown in actual official Doctor Who, and to sort of have it canonised, because that was really, really cool. Also, what I would say is, if you haven't seen Dimensions in Time, I would definitely recommend going on YouTube and actually having a little look, because it's quite a special, let's say. So definitely give it a watch if you haven't already, because again, it features Kate O'Mara, which is really cool, but it is quite an odd one. So yeah, definitely give it a watch if you can. And going back to the actual episode itself, Wish World, once again, Ruby's foster mum, sort of adoptive mum, just completely turned her back again on Ruby. I've lost count of how many times she's done that. I heard someone say something which was quite funny. She sort of turned on Ruby more than the TARDIS has landed. So that I really did find that funny. And it's sort of true in a way. The amount of times she's done it. There's so many instances. The Church of Ruby Road, 73 yards. Even this episode, there's just so many. I've probably missed out a few, because she's just turned her back on her so many times. So quite funny to see that done once again. A very unexpected surprise was to actually see Rogue in this episode, which did actually take me by surprise, because I never really thought they would, especially just like this as well, which I'm really glad they did. And it definitely feels like they're building it up for them to see each other again, and I really hope they do. And to be honest, I feel he's quite a good replacement for Captain Jack as well. So yeah, I would love to see it happen again, and I feel like they're definitely hinting towards it, and it was great to see. Although what I would say is, this sort of feels like it was filmed for like Doctor Who Lockdown, where it's sort of done in someone's bedroom. I don't really feel like the quality of it was quite good. It just felt a bit cheap, really, how it was done. But nonetheless, it was great to see Rogue back and him sort of bring the Doctor out of this, which was really cool. And what I would say is, it was around this part of the episode where he was doing the things with the cups, looking at them. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of that. I think it's like a horror film, or it's a story where there's this sort of like person who sees the lamp and he stares at it for days on end because it's wrong. It really reminds me of that story. If anybody's ever heard of that, then you'll sort of know what I'm talking about. But that's what this episode really reminds me of. And perhaps it was slightly based on it as well. I would have liked to see Belinda and the Doctor's house as number 15 instead of number 11. That would have been sort of a nice sort of like Easter egg thing, which I thought would have been quite cool, and sort of a subtle thing, sort of foreshadowing that is the Doctor, which is a shame they didn't do, but doesn't matter in the end of the day, I guess. But it was great to see Mrs. Flood play sort of dress up again and play a sort of police officer. Great to see that done one more time. But speaking of the Rani and sort of linking in with Mrs. Flood, the Rani, I must say, I'm not too keen on the direction that Rani's been taken in. For me, it certainly feels like they're just doing another version of the Master. Whereas in the original sort of season, the original classic Doctor Who, the Rani was more of a sort of amoral scientist and was only really interested in her experiments. If you've ever seen Mark of the Rani, as you would know, she was sort of only interested in her experiments, and as she said to the Master in that episode, she's not interested in the squabble that the Doctor and the Master have and their sort of quarrels. So I really do feel like I don't really like the direction the Rani's just been taken in. It's just, I don't feel like, if it was explained that this was sort of one of her experiments, or something to do with her scientificness, then it would sort of make sense and it would fit better with me. But I don't feel like this is sort of one of her experiments. It's not very explained or shown very well. So I feel like this doesn't link in with the original Rani as much, and I don't feel like they're doing the right thing with her character. What I would say is, even in Time and the Rani, they didn't really do her character justice even then. I felt like she spent too long being Mel in the episode, and it just didn't show her as good personally for me as it was shown in Mark of the Rani. So I'm slightly disappointed that they've done that. What I will say is as well, I feel like especially with now Omega's turned up and with Mrs. Flood and everything else going on, there's not enough attention being played on the actual Rani herself. I feel like it's quite difficult as well, with the Rani only ever being played by Kate O'Mara and her doing such a brilliant, stellar job at it. It is quite difficult to see anyone else as the Rani, especially with, I feel like we're not getting enough time of the Rani. I feel like we're not seeing enough of the Rani for actually it to be done. So it's very difficult. For me, it's sort of like, say for example, Sarah Jane Smith. You couldn't imagine her done by anyone else except Elizabeth Sladen. And I feel like it's quite hard to see anybody else do it. Although the person doing it now is just doing such a brilliant job. I've forgotten her name, I can't believe it, but she's doing a phenomenal job. I really feel like she's doing well, but we're just not seeing enough of her, and it's just making it, for me, a bit difficult to sort of see her as the Rani, especially with this other thing on top of it, where she just doesn't feel like the original Rani, and they just feel like another version of the Master. So it is quite difficult. Yeah, I'm just sort of not seeing it really. So I'm not really keen on the direction the Rani's being taken in, and I don't feel like this is going to improve in the last part of the finale, unfortunately. Quite an unexpected thing which sort of went under the radar was the Vindicator and it playing such significance. I really loved how it sort of went all under our noses and we didn't realise that it had significance in the Rani's plan, and now it does sort of make sense why Mrs. Flood was taking so much interest in the Vindicator, especially in the well. So that's really nice to see that link back as well. I did think the Rani's line about drowning in breast milk was very funny about the baby, so again a nice line from the Rani. But what I will say is as well, that line about this isn't just exposition, it felt like Doctor Who's being self-aware, but for the wrong reasons. It sort of reminds me of the line that they gave the 13th Doctor in The Witchfinders, where she says, if I was still a bloke, I could get on the job and not have to waste time defending myself. It's sort of Doctor Who being self-aware, but in such a bad way, and sort of opening it up to sort of be criticised. So I was not keen on that line at all, and I felt that was really unnecessary and didn't pay off well. Now, talking of that reveal at Omega, I must say, slightly disappointing to be honest. Yeah, it's great to see him back because he's another sort of classic character that I've always wanted to see back, but it just feels like we have too much at the moment. We've got Mrs. Flood, who is now probably a side character of a side character. You've got the Rani, who should really be taking centre stage, and now we've got Omega back. I feel like the Rani's going to be pushed to the side. It's just a bit too much, to be honest, and Omega's reveal, it just wasn't really it for me. I mean, you didn't really get to see him. Actually, if you know about it, sort of the lines that were said, Omega shall live, and whatever was said, was actually taken from an audio drama from Big Finish. So it makes me wonder, will we actually even see Omega or have anyone actually voice him? Because that was taken from something else. So it makes me wonder, are we actually going to have Omega back, or is he just sort of going to be name dropped and sort of have a possibility of coming out, but then never actually does in the next episode? So it is quite a tough one. I just personally feel like it wasn't done well, and if we do have Omega back, it's just too many at once. If you think about it, in the last two episodes rather, we've had Susan back, we've had the Rani back, and we've had Omega back. It just feels like, for me, I'm just too numb to the surprises now. It's just really not working out at all, and it's just like, it wasn't like last year where there was sort of that big build up and Sutek being back. I remember being so excited for the whole week, I just couldn't believe it, and it being one of the best episodes of the season for me because of that big reveal and build up, whereas I feel like this wasn't done as well. So yeah, great to see Omega back if he is going to be back, but It's just too much at once, I personally feel. Interesting the Doctor's point about Poppy and he actually has a daughter and what does that actually mean. I would love to see that explained. I look forward to finding out what that means. And also interesting and exciting sort of see Ruby nearly be crushed by the helipad. I'm sure there'll be a way out that she won't actually be crushed by the unit helipad. But again, that was quite a cool shot. But what I will say is as well, the cliffhanger just wasn't it. It just didn't feel like the Legend of Ruby Sunday. And that to be continued just didn't hit the same way it did last year when Sutekh was revealed and all of that. So again, it wasn't done as well. I just feel like there wasn't much of a build up to Omega, and when it was revealed, it just wasn't as great as it was with Sutekh, and it's just been a little too much, to be honest. So I've got to be honest, yeah, the cliffhanger wasn't the best, to be honest. Yeah, it was slightly exciting, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens in the next episode, but yeah, it just wasn't as good as what was done last year. Overall, I'm going to give the episode a 7 out of 10. It's going to stay where I probably would have ranked it upon initial watch. Because I did enjoy the episode, don't get me wrong. I really loved the sort of wish world. I loved how Ruby played such a big part. I loved seeing the Doctor and Belinda sort of this different side of them, and they did well to play it. So I enjoyed all of that. However, I'm not keen on the direction that Rani's been taken in. The cliffhanger and the sort of reveal was slightly weak for me, and I just feel like there's too much going on at once. So I'm going to be interested to see how they play it off in the next episode. It's great that we've got an additional 22 minutes. I definitely feel like the episode certainly needs it, 'cause it's going to be 66 minutes long. And we're going to see if Omega actually is going to come out. I'm not too sure if he actually will actually be in the episode. He might sort of be teased that he's coming out and then we don't actually see him or sort of hear of him. So I'm going to be interested to see if Omega is actually back. I'm hoping that he at least will be. But then again, the Rani's just not going to get her time, and Mrs. Flood is just sort of being pushed right to the back of the queue. So this episode definitely has some faults, but don't get me wrong, I've ranked it 7 out of 10 because it was still an enjoyable episode. It's just the sort of ending and the way the Rani was taken in that has sort of brought it down for me, unfortunately, because I really do enjoy the Rani, and the Rani is such an amazing character that I hold quite highly. But to see her sort of taken away from her roots and just being another version of the Master for me, it just sort of takes it away from it slightly. So yeah, overall 7 out of 10, enjoyable episode, but I'm going to be interested to see what happens in the sort of next episode, the finale. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. But what I'd love to know is what you guys thought. What did you think of the episode? Did you enjoy it more than me? Did you enjoy how the direction the Rani was taken in? What did you think of the cliffhanger? What did you think about Omega being back? Let me know because I'd love to hear it. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and hopefully see you in my next video soon. Thank you all for watching and take care.